So, welcome everyone. Good morning again. Hope you people are safe and doing your work systematically, regularly. Some students are submitting the assignments on time, some are submitting late. Please see that you submit on time your assignments and do your work properly. Study well because once the college gets open, you will be having back to back internals 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. So, see that you keep yourself updated. Okay, anyone if they haven't turned up with the assignments, kindly turn it up, or else I'll mark directly 0 for the students who haven't submitted the assignment in Google Classroom. Okay, so now in the last class we were dealing about what is virtual product development, what is virtual manufacturing, what are the tools, methods used in developing the product virtually, which are the methods, which are the simulation tools, all those we studied, what are its benefits. Okay, so methodologies in depth we dealt, even the benefits of virtual manufacturing was dealt about, and the tools and methods involved also was discussed. Okay, so now we have to just figure out with how it works exactly, right? So now we are aware how our product life cycle goes on. So it has 5 phases which start from the initiation to that of the decline phase, right? Similarly, we have the design process which is done manually. So now we have to embed our product life cycle process to any product with the design process what we follow in a virtual environment. So in virtual environment, you will be having the CAD tools as well as CAE tools. Always the CAD tools will be surrounded with the CAE tools, which will provide us a virtual environment where we do our design first and then do the analysis. I told you even the prototype could be done virtually, and virtual manufacturing of a part or an component or an entire device can also be checked in a virtual environment. So now you are creating an environment which can embed the design virtually, which can do the analysis virtually, which can test the prototype virtually, and which can manufacture the product onto whole virtually, so that it helps in overcoming the cost, the time, the energy which will be wasted if it will be done in actual, and again you have to reinvest in modifications and overcoming the deviations. So this is the best way in today's trend to do it virtually. Check it out. When it is optimized with 100% yes, and then you will go ahead with the actual manufacturing. So we have the entire product life cycle process, and we have discussed various design process which was evaluated in the ancient times and now how it is modified. So that design process and the product life cycle. So this is the in actual which is being done, which is outside our virtual environment. So this speaks about our virtual environment. So you have CAD tools and you have the robot design concept also. So robot design, I have explained you what you mean by it. So it is a design process which helps to overcome any variations without removing the elements which are associated with that variations. So that design you call it as a robot design. Even that could be created virtually. Okay, so we dealt with before the design for manufacturing, design for assembly in our design for X concept, right? So where we had 6 criteria, if it meets all the criteria, then only you say that it has been designed as per design for X methodology. Even that could be created virtually here. Robust design and the CAD systems. Here all the design tools comes into the picture, like AutoCAD, ProE, all those steps, CATIA. So after that, the analysis tools also will come, which is related to our CAE, where you have FEM, CFD, Nastron, all those things. And along with this, product data management also plays a vital role. what we actually do it related to our product lifecycle management. I told that product lifecycle management and PDM both are interrelated, right? So product data management helps in storing the required data in the database so that you can get the extraction of any material when needed, when it has been stuffed in PDM already. So even this data generation could be done in a virtual concept. So when you have the design concept, when you have the analysis concept, and you have created the design with respect to robust means, and you are playing a vital role with PDM and design for X, successfully you can go ahead with manufacturing virtually. Okay. So any errors which come across could be focused in our failure mode effective analysis, design for environment. And the manufactured part virtually could also be accessed with the life cycle, how it will prolong, where you will get the maximum sales and profit, when will be the decline stage, even that could be roughly assessed. And even the design for serviceability, how much serviceability, where, how, that could be also created virtually. So this entire thing plays a vital role in identifying where your product stands in the market virtually also. So this is a very important tool one has to embed in a company if they want to be very successful in running a particular product for a long period of time. I tell you, this also helps in improving the life period of a particular product, because you're taking so much of pain and effort in optimizing the design, the modeling part, analysis part, prototyping, manufacturing, testing, serviceability, and also the market part. So it will really help in improving the time period of a particular market, which will sustain in a market with a good sales and profit. So if they ask you to explain the tools and method, previously what we dealt with, the tools, benefits, so these are the simulation tools what we studied. Both the simulation tools and then the methodologies have to be explained, and you will show how it works by drawing and diagram. And if they ask you the benefits of it also, you can explain the things which was explained in the previous class. Okay, it mainly depends upon how the question is being asked. So based on the question asked, you kindly explain as per the question. Don't go out way of the question which is being asked. So this is an example how the interlink between an CAD and CAE works exactly. So first, basically, we have to start up with an design only. Without design, you cannot move proceed further. So this design will be done based on the needs of the customer, so that you will be taking from the component design stage of our product life cycle. So based on the needs, so we will start up our design using a CAD tool. So in CAD tool, first we will use the concept called digital mockup. What do you mean by digital mockup? It is a digital virtual environment which helps you to create the design virtually in a virtual environment. Okay, so this is called as digital mockup. So once the design has been created virtually, you will transfer that to the FEM analysis package. So where the analysis of that particular design will be tested and simulated. And if any modification needed based on the analysis of FEM, that could be redesigned in our digital mockup. And once the analysis is done, the simulation can also be done if it is an fluid related particle. So here you will be using computational fluid dynamics, which is called as CFD, to run the simulation part. And after that, you have one more system called as a multi-body system. So suppose if you have n number of parts in an product, what you have to design. So it has to be assembled to get a single product. So assembling of it can be done by using multi-body system, because this is not possible this you're doing virtually. We do directly the parts manufactured for the assembling without testing anything whether it fits properly or not. But with the help of virtual environment, you will get an advantage to check even whether it fits properly in our assembling part. So this multi-body system will check virtually whether all the parts manufactured fits properly without any lacuna. Okay, so this is taken care in multi-body system. And once this all are been done, the concepts of that will be interlinked with our virtual reality. So this is the technology mainly what we are using for our virtual manufacturing. So this will be interrelated. Related to virtual reality also we saw in diagram in the previous class. Okay, so where, how virtual reality, how it will be connected? It could be connected with respect to desktop, or it could be connected with respect to screen, or it could be connected with respect to simulation, or it could be connected with respect to the avatar based. So these I have explained you already, how the virtual environment will be interlinked to a media in which it could be displayed. Okay, so all these things then will be connected with our virtual reality environment. Okay, so in this case, so when you interlink all this, so you will be able to visualize virtually what is been happening. Okay, so once you do with all, these all will be connected to an virtual environment where you can figure out and see how it is working, how the design has been created virtually, how it is analyzed, and how the assembly of the part is being taken care. Everything you will be able to see when you connect these design and analysis tools with respect to an virtual environment. And then once you do it, if you get off without storing the documentation, it will not be possible for us to proceed further. So you need an technical product documentation. So all the things which are generated, created and analyzed will be documented, okay, so that you will be able to access this later. So all the results will be documented in technical product documentation. So once the design is ready, analysis is ready, simulation is ready, and you have embedded to an virtual environment and store the documentation, you have to create the product virtually and check how it is operating. So that is called our rapid prototyping, where you do virtual prototyping concept. Okay, so then if you need any controlling unit, either NC, a robotic control, a measuring control, even that will be embedded into it. And finally, once everything goes properly, the production planning and control, you will be having different planning strategies, the controlling strategies, what we call it as constraints. Even all these things will be interlinked, so that you will be having a systematic plan how, when to start, what are the constraints, what are the documentations you have stored successfully for even running and prototype virtually. So once everything is packed up to date with the information, you can go directly ahead with the manufacturing part. Okay, so this is an example how a CAD and CAE will be interrelated in operating a product, manufacturing a product virtually before you go into actual manufacturing. So if they ask you to explain with an example also, you can able to explain. Okay, so same thing has been given over here related to the CAD models, everything. I have explained with the help of example with the block diagram here directly. Next, I told you digital mockup here. So let us see in depth what do you mean by digital mockup. So this digital mockup is nothing but it provides you an virtual product environment to generate or create the entire design process of three-dimensional development of a particular product. So all design work has to be done within the DMU world only. You won't be using any other workbench or environment to create your design or an by drawing using drafter and a sheet of paper. Nothing. You have to draw the design directly in the digital mock-up world only. So here, this is a new technology where the designer has to embed with himself. So when he startups in work, so he has to enter to the DMU environment in the beginning and carry out all the tasks which are essential throughout the day, because a design engineer will be making many designs in a particular day, right? So every design what he does, if the company is embedded with virtual environment, he has to start up his day in the morning by opening or logging in into the DMU network, sorry, DMU environment, and then you start creating the design. Okay. So all investigations what he does could be generated in separate environment or in a single sheet of paper, but it gets disappeared quickly. So he has to draft and store it in the data documentation at a quicker stage. Because this cannot be used for other design. The design what he does is with respect to a particular product what you're going to do it. He cannot refer that for the rest. So if he need to save the design for that particular product, he has to generate quick and save it in a particular file. Okay. So on the other hand, some case has to be taken. What are there? The designers do not feel controlled by a particular system. They should not lose their freedom to be creative. You know, for a design engineer, if we give a pencil and a sheet of paper, they can do the sketch as per their concepts and ideas which they come to their mind. So that is what we call it as conceptual design. So he'll be having all his thoughts without any constraints. So same concept without any constraints is ideation has to be replicated in the DMU environment. He should not feel that he is controlled by some constraints so that he cannot provide his full effort in design with the help of DMU network. That should not come. If he can provide his own thoughts, ideas without any constraints, even in operating using the digital mockup. So this is what I want to tell related to digital mockup. So you have a particular part in your syllabus related to digital mockup also. So you should be able to explain what you mean by it. So for the digital mockup, you should know what are the prerequisites in the design process. So first is part-based methodology of working. So how it is being worked part-wise. Every product will be having n number of parts. So all these parts will be clubbed together in assembling unit to get an product. So the methodology followed in manufacturing each part has to be known by the design person. So based on that, he will be able to provide a convenient, compatible design which will be better enough when compared to the other companies who are trying to manufacture same trend of products. So this should be aware for the design engineer to create the part design in digital mockup. So this is one of the prerequisite. Second is modeling according to the rule one part one CAD model. So even this is necessary. It's not like for a single part you have more than one CAD model. If you have 10 parts, one device with 10 parts, and you should be having only 10 CAD models. You should not be having more than one CAD model for a single particular part. So that has to be taken care. So next, the master of the geometry in the 3D model. The models what you create should be three-dimensional only, not and two-dimensional. One. And he should be thorough enough with the definition of the modeling rules. Every modeling has certain rules, formalities, the mathematical equations, what you follow to get different types of mathematical models. All those have to be strictly followed. As per that, the models has to be developed. If you are winding up the rules, then you will end up with not a proper model. So he should be good enough in mathematical modeling and generating the equations as well. Okay. And you should be thorough with detailed modeling, specifications of the modeling, the strategies, the equations, the variants, the input and the output data, what all are needed. You should be thorough in with all the information. And lastly, all drawings have to be derived from the 3D models. So I have told that already. So all models through 3D. It is not like drawing a 2D and then converting into a 3D at the later stage. It should be through originated from the 3D models directly. So this is about the digital mock-up and how the tools and methodology used in virtual environment is embedded to our actual product lifecycle management right from the design process. Okay. And we explained that with an example also. And then you have a particular part in your syllabus related to that of production planning. Okay. So there are currently 36 participants. I am taking the screenshot of it. That has to match with the chat room. Kindly write your names if anyone have not pasted. Just a second, I'm taking the snapshot. Okay. So now next part, what we have in our last module for product building and structures is production planning. So we have studied what do you mean by planning actually in our design process when we studied our product lifecycle management. The same concept of planning is now interrelated with respect to production part. So whether it is in design or in production, you should be having a systematic planning strategy or else it won't work properly, right? So now you have to know what you mean by production planning. So production planning mainly is nothing but a systematic technique followed in step by step for a longer process of production, because a production will not end in a single day. If it is a huge lot of mass production like around 1000 2000 or 20,000 parts which has to be manufactured per week, so there will be n number of parts which has to be manufactured. A systematic time constraint, how it will be manufactured part by part, how it has to be assembled, where it is going to be assembled. Sometimes the part will be manufactured in a particular place, it will be assembled in a different place. All these have to be correlated so that everything goes hand in hand. For that, a proper planning is very essential, right? So it tells you it is a technique followed for forecasting in future how the process of production goes on. So the person who is well versed in production, who is in that line for n number of years, will be having good enough of experience to recognize and fine tune and define the planning process for production. So he can forecast in future how the process of production will be. So based on that, the planning will be provided. Okay, so taking them at the right time in right degree and trying to complete all the operations successfully with the improved or enhanced efficiency. Because if the production is going on good and planning is not done, then they won't end up with an maximum efficiency, because they will cross the due date within which the production has to be completed. In industries, the time plays a vital role. Dead end is dead end, due date is due date, within which if you won't turn up, they won't accept your product, okay, in future. So it will be a loss to the company. And hence a systematic planning is very essential in our production also. Production of the product. So related to production planning, you should be now knowing what are the main objectives of it. So the first objective is determining sequence of operations for a continuous production. So when you need to produce a particular product, n number of operations have to be performed. So he has to determine what all the operations are necessary for making an continuous production of a huge lot. So this is basically for a mass production. So once that is been set up, so next he should check what is the plant capacity of the current company or an industry. Is it fit for this continuous production which has to be done in future? If not, how the plant capacity can be improved? So all these things have to be taken care. It is not like just making the planning in a sheet of paper and throwing it. This is the planning strategy. No, he has to do it in actual by surveying the entire plant capacity also. So once the planning of the plant capacity is done, so he has to come back to the work schedule. So based on the plant capacity, who will be working, who will be the head of the department, who will be doing the supervision part of it. Under the supervisor, who will be the persons who will be working in actual. So what is the percentage of load assigned to each individual under the supervisor? So the work packages will be assigned to each individual and the time schedule will be given. So what is the time constraint for each individual? Some will be doing in morning shift, some will be doing in night shift. So their work package, time schedule, everything has to be planned so that the continuous production goes on very smoothly without any drawbacks. So this is a third objective. So next is maintaining sufficient inventories to support continuous flow of production. It's not like he just plans, he says, okay, plant capacity is done, it will manufacture for the continuous production and there is a good coordination, work schedule has been fixed, it will go away. No, the products which are manufactured should be stored in a particular place. For that, he should be having an inventory also. So you have to check whether the available space for the inventory in the company is enough for manufacturing this huge lot of production. If it is not satisfiable, then he has to try to create the inventory which matches with the continuous production of that particular company. So even that has to be checked. So he has done all. So mainly the workshop where the actual work takes place, you have to check whether the workshops are performing properly or not, right? If it is not performing and some equipments are down, so then how the production can go on? So you have to see whether the maintenance of each equipment is done properly, whether it is in running condition. If it is not in running condition, it has to be made into running condition by proper maintenance. Even he has to take care of all these things. And last objective is maintaining production schedules to ensure delivery at proper time. If he does all this successfully and if he does not fix up to the time constraint, then what is the use of producing the products? It's of no use. So he has to stick on which is the delivery time within which how the parts will be manufactured, when it will be assembled, when the manufactured product will be delivered to the person. Everything has to be scheduled and it has to be dispatched to each department, supervisors and the workers who are actually working into the production of parts as well as the devices. So these are all the important objectives a production planning person has to take care. If he violates even a single objective, it will be difficult to end up.
ओ भाई मारो मुझे मारो मारो मुझे मारो मारो नहीं ये मजाक हो रहा है एक सेकंड यार मजाक हो रहा है
Who is this? Please mute your mic. Okay, so these are all the objectives which has to be followed by a production planning person without fail. So now you know what you mean by production planning, what are its objectives. And then you should know what are the importance of production planning. Okay, so this is about the importance of the production planning. I told please mute your mic. Why unnecessary you are owning the speaker on? So next is what are the importance of production planning. So once you know the objective, you should see how you will
அப்படி
deal
சொன்ன உடனே
with the
குனிஞ்சு
production
சொல்லுங்க சும்மா
planning.
அப்படி வந்து நிப்பானே அந்த மாதிரி கபாலி இருந்துச்சாடா கபாலிடா
So this is about, we have to start up with the importance of production planning. So in this you have to see like how you will be benefited. So if you use the production planning, you will be helpful to get an increase in the production, because main purpose of the production planning is to arrange the input systematically. If it is arranged systematically, it will obviously help in raising the output of any product, right? So this one is helps in increasing our production. Second importance is for coordinating plant activity. So it helps in achieving and proper coordination in between the individuals of all the departments, such that the plant activity of a particular industry related to a product will be done successfully. Okay. So these are the two importance. So once you know the importance, you should just run out through the elements which are associated in product planning. So one is the planning, I've explained you already what it is, then routing, scheduling, dispatching, follow up, and then the inspection part. So I've told you what is planning. In routing, what happens? Routing is nothing but determining the exact route or the path which will be followed in a production line. So they provide an entire route right from the design to right from the design of a part to that of the manufacturing. So it has to be followed systematically. So that is called as routing. So it is a selection of the path from each unit have to pass before reaching the final stage. So if they follow this particular route in production, then they can achieve the expected production on time. Then scheduling, I told about this. So scheduling is also very important. So scheduling is determining of the time and date when each operation has to be commenced and completed. So this work has to go on as per the timetable without any delays or without any reasons. If any particular person is not able to do the work, that has to be assigned to another individual so that it goes as per the schedule and there will be no any delay. If one work get delayed, the entire process get delayed, right? So that will be very difficult. So they have to manage time in accordance to the schedule which is being given. So this helps in getting the final product without any delay. So scheduling also plays a vital role in production planning, similar to that of the planning which has been done in our initial stage related to the design concept. So next, how you dispatch the products. So dispatching refers to the process of actually ordering the work to be done. So what it involves basically, it involves putting the plan into effect by issuing the orders. So it is concerned with starting the process and operation on the basis of the route sheets and schedule charts. So once you follow the initial planning, routing, and scheduling, finally the product is in hand. So that product which is hand will be dispatched successfully if you follow the previous operations. Okay, so that is nothing but dispatching the part